many of these are books that I've just read, and how many of them have actually shaped me as a person? Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife, and today I am going to talk to you about some of the authors who are on my most read shelf. So these are the authors from whom I have read the most books. I've either read all of them so far, or I have just read the vast majority of them. So the first author that I'm going to talk about is Lindsay Calc. Lindsay's most recent book is In Case You Missed It, which came out in mid-July. And there's one that I have read, but there is one series that I haven't read, and it's more of a trilogy than a series. It is the About a Girl series. I bought this as like a birthday present for myself with a book voucher that I got from my brother and sister-in-law. Once I get these read, I am fully caught up to date with everything that Lindsay has written for an adult audience. She has also written the Cinders and Sparks series, which are more for like a younger or like a child or teenage audience, but I haven't gotten any interest to read them so far. Another one of my most read authors is Louise O'Neill. So Louise is from County Cork, which is really close to where I grew up. And she has written, as far as I can recall, 3 books for a younger audience and 2 books for an older audience. The 3 books that she has written for a younger audience, all of which I have read, are Only Ever Yours, Asking for It, and The Surface Breaks. She's also written 2 books for an adult audience, one of which I have read, which is called Almost Love, and the second one called After the Silence, which I will be reading once my copy arrives. Another author that I have read everything from, bar one, is Isabel Brooke. And Isabel is quite a special author for me because her debut novel, The My Map of You, was one of the first arcs that I ever got when I started out as a book blogger. Something that I really like about Isabel's work is that it's all set right across the world. So there are books set in Greece, there are books set in Prague, there are books set in Thailand, Spain, Italy, and her most recent one, which is called Hello Again, starts out in the UK, but then travels around quite a lot of Europe. It travels to, for example, you travel to Lisbon and you travel to Hamburg. Because I live in Germany, and because Hamburg is on my to-go list, I definitely want to check that out and see just how she paints Hamburg and see if I really, really want to go there after it. I am pretty sure that given how much wanderlust all of her books have given me so far, I'm definitely going to want to be packing my bags for Hamburg. Another pretty much all but one author is Holly Bourne. My reading relationship with Holly started with her really well-known by now trilogy, which is called the Spencer Trilogy. And that follows 3 girls called Evie, Amber, and Lottie. They're all best friends, and they all kind of overcome a really big trauma or life-changing event throughout their books. And when I read those, I went back and had a look at some of all these other books. And so far, I've only missed 2. One is Soulmates, which I think is her debut, and the other is Pretending, which is her most recent book. It's for adults, and it came out in April. And actually, it also has a main character called April, and anybody that I have heard have read it really, really enjoyed it. And that's just another spur on for me to read it, because when she's one of my auto-buy authors, I know I'm going to enjoy it. I just have to make time to pick it up. Okay, I may not have read everything by this author, but I have also still read quite a lot, and that is Marienke. So I've read 2 of the Walsh Sisters series books so far. I have read Watermelon, which is about Claire, and I have read Rachel's Holiday, which is about Rachel. I've also read The Break and Grown Ups, which are 2 of her most recent books. So when Shelby from Books with Grace hit 1,000 subscribers, she had a competition to win a book of your choice from Book Depository, and I chose a Marienke's book. I chose Sushi for Beginners. It's one of Marien's books that I haven't read, but the plot sounds really interesting, and it's something that I definitely want to get reading, and I know that I need to bring a bit more of Marien into my reading life, so this is sounding like a good way to go. Okay, we're kind of leaving my adult reading to the side for now, because we're going to go for the next 4 authors, all come from my childhood reading. And we start with one of my most prolific childhood reading authors, Anne Martin. Okay, Anne kind of counts because her name's on the book, but quite a lot of the Babysitter's Club books were actually ghostwritten. I think Anne wrote the first 20 or 25 books by herself, and then when they started to garner popularity, she brought in some help to help her with the rest of the series. But the Babysitter's Club is one of my comfort books. It's something that I go back to when I'm in a reading slump, and I know I just need to get into the swing of reading again with something that's super familiar to me, something that I don't really need to think about when I'm reading. I just need to shut my brain off and get into the book. Whenever that happens to me, I instantly go for the Babysitter's Club. I am in the middle of a reread at the moment of the series. And I say reread because there's no other way to describe where I am. I'm on kind of book 31 by now, and of the original Babysitters Club series, just the straight series by itself, I think there's something like 136 books. And it's going to take me quite a long time to get there. So I think I am going to need to break them out a little bit more. Maybe not just to get me out of a reading slump. I didn't just read the Babysitters Club books when I was younger. I also read the Babysitter's Little Sister books, which don't follow the 7 babysitters, but they follow Karen, who is the sister of Kirsty, the founder and president of the Babysitters Club. I kind of started out with those actually when I was maybe 7 or 8, and then when I turned 9, 10, 11, I kind of graduated onto the Babysitters Club proper. I've said quite a lot here that I'm not a big fan of horror and gore and that kind of a thing, but when I kind of want to get a bit freaked out, I go back to the Goosebumps series, and those were written by R.L. Stine. I have also read quite a lot of those, and I even remember when I was in Australia with my family like 15 years ago by now, because I'm so old. There was a stall in the middle of Perth where you could buy like 3 books for $10 or something like that. And there was a ton of Goosebumps books there. So I bought, I think, Say Cheese and Die, which is one of the most popular books. I bought The Curse of Camp Cold Lake. And what is the other one? I think it's Piano Lessons or Murder. I can still remember the 3 books that I have. And I have reread all of those recently. And there are so many other books from the Goosebumps series that I haven't read yet, but I am going to get to them sometime. The last big childhood author for me is Jacqueline Wilson. Jacqueline Wilson was one of my go-to authors when I was younger. I think I've read like maybe 10 or 12 books by her. Let me see if I can remember off the top of my head. I've definitely read the 2 Tracy Beaker books. The Bed and Breakfast Star, Double Act, Sleepovers, Best Friends, Vicky Angel, Dustbin Baby, Bad Girls, The Illustrated Mom, Secrets. I'm lost count. There are some of them that I really, really treasure. Like Double Act is one of my favorite Jacqueline Wilson books, which I know isn't one of the common ones because everybody loves Tracy Beaker. But for somebody who wanted to have a twin, Double Act was all that I wanted to know about. And when I got a Borrow Box account, I actually searched Jacqueline Wilson's name and have been listening back to some of her books on audio already. So I have re-listened to already The Lottie Project and to Secrets and to Double Act, and I absolutely still love all of them. And also Jacqueline had a book that came out this year. I talked about Love Frankie in one of my vlogs for the Owls Readathon back in April. If you are still looking for a Jacqueline Wilson book, or you want to introduce Jacqueline Wilson to your kids or to your nieces and nephews, definitely recommend having a look at that video. So in between your childhood and your adulthood comes your teenagers, and there is one author that really, really stands out for me. There are a couple of others who I would have read quite a lot from, but definitely the most voluminous was Meg Cabot. I was obsessed with the Princess Diary series. I have all 10 of them at my parents' house. I actually reread them in like 2016 or 2017. And I have also read The Royal Wedding, which is kind of a continuation of the series where Mia is living in Genovia and she and Michael are getting married. But another book series that I read by Meg Cabot, which isn't really talked about as much, I haven't really seen or heard a lot of people speaking about this one, is All American. So this book is about Samantha Madison, who kind of thwarts an assassination attempt on the US president while she's supposed to be in a life drawing class. And she starts to grow a friendship with his son, and they start falling in love. And the second book, I think it's more of a duology than a series, but the second book kind of focuses on them taking their friendship and their relationship to the next level. I think it's really dealt with well. It's definitely something that you could give to a teenager who is starting to become sexually active. Definitely a book that will give them a lot of guidance. So those are just some of the authors who appear on my bookshelves the most. There are probably so many more that I just haven't been able to think about at the moment. Who are some of your most read authors? Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now get on out of here.